Hey lovelies, this is Janelle, the relationship coach behind the Successful Invisible. And I'm here today with another Unlearning Series lesson. So, one of the most dangerous myths many accomplished women carry into dating is the belief that maturity automatically comes with age in men. It doesn't. Some men simply get older. They don't necessarily get more disciplined, emotionally intelligent, or self governing. And the truth is, you can learn a lot about male behavior by looking at how boys behave when there's no structure, no accountability, and no one managing the environment. There was an experiment where a group of boys were left alone in a house for several days with no adult supervision. What started as excitement quickly descended into chaos, fights, rival groups, destruction, and complete disorder. Meanwhile, when the same experiment was done with girls, they organized themselves, created chore systems, supported each other emotionally, and left the house in better condition than they found it. Now, before anyone rushes to turn this into a battle of the sexes, that's not the point. The lesson for women, especially accomplished women navigating dating, is understanding what happens when someone has never been required to develop internal structure. Because when you're dating, the real question isn't just whether a man is charming, successful, or interested in you. The real question is, who is he when no one is managing him? And in today's Unlearning Series lesson, we're going to talk about why that question might be one of the most important filters you can develop when choosing a partner.
Imagine this, 10 boys, all from the ages of 11 and 12, were put into a house with no adult supervision for 5 days. And if you heard me say that and thought to yourself, that sounds like a total Lord of the Flies situation, you're not wrong, because it did not take long for them to completely descend into chaos, completely desecrating the entire house. They freaking drew on the walls, they would flip furniture, they were just trashing everything. I think one of the funniest things about this experiment was they were actually given cooking lessons so that they would know how to prepare food for themselves, but obviously, naturally, I mean, come on, guys, they're 10, 11-year-old boys. They just had junk food the entire time. Cereal, soda. There was one attempt to cook food and then they just completely went back to cereal. But I think the saddest thing is, when this first started, it was all fun and games. They're having a good time, staying up late, but it very quickly turned into them splitting up into different factions, different gangs. They would fight. They even tied a kid up to a chair, which, yeah, I mean, it totally makes sense. Lord of the freaking Flies. But what's interesting about this whole thing is just how quickly their social structure that they developed just completely fell apart. What started out as excitement turned into isolation, depression. One boy even described the experiment as living in total hell. So what does this experiment tell us? Well, obviously, this is proof that boys, especially at this age, are more impulsive. They struggle with self-control. Their prefrontal cortex, which handles decision-making, isn't fully developed, and it develops later than girls at a similar age. But if you read commentaries about this experiment, people also say that this shows you how society treats little boys different than little girls. There's a lot less responsibility. There's a lot less accountability for their actions. They feel like they can get away with it because they get away with it. But it's insane. It's just insane to see how they freaking trashed this house. Obviously, nobody made a single attempt to clean anything. But my question to you is, if you put a group of 20-year-olds together, does this look any different? Because I've seen some of the frat houses at these colleges and like, but I'm about to post a part 2 because they did the same thing with girls. And let me tell you, the results are exactly the same. Love you, bye. So 10 boys were left alone in a house with no parental supervision for 10 days. That was in the previous video. Now we're going to talk about when they did the same thing with 10 girls. If you saw the previous video, the boys descended into chaos relatively quickly. So you might say to yourself, oh, we can expect the same thing with these girls. No. From the start, the girls organized themselves. They made a freaking chore chart, took turns cooking, cleaning, meals were planned. They didn't just survive off the snacks like the boys did. They really created this team. Now, They did play with the house a little bit. They did painting, but instead of like a destructive type of painting, they were doing murals. They were painting flowers. They tried to add to the beauty. What's really cool is that they were all there and emotionally supported each other. The boys' situation turned into a real Lord of the Flies situation. They had rival gangs. They were attacking each other. The girls were emotionally there. For example, when one of the girls became really sad, they all came together and they made this group beauty salon and had this beauty salon day. They would also curate activities. They would do little show and tell things, talent shows. All in all, it's a completely different experience than what the boys displayed. So why is this? Well, obviously with younger girls, their prefrontal cortex at the age of 10 or 11 is more developed than the boys. That's the part of your brain that controls decision making. But an argument can also be made about social conditioning, because when it comes to girls, generally they take on more responsibility and more is expected of them at younger ages. They grow up faster because they're expected to. My question is, do you think it is brain development? Do you think it's societal norms? Or a combination of both? One thing is for sure, these girls showed cooperation, empathy, planning. Like, they survived very well in this house, and they even cleaned up before they left. Stark contrast to the boys, which honestly I think if the experiment would have gone 6 or 7 days, some of them wouldn't have made it. Really, I just want to get some of these girls in our Congress, because I'm pretty sure if you put 5 of our Congress people in a house for 5 days, it would also descend into chaos. Love you, bye.
So I switched up the structure a little bit of these videos. I put kind of the subject at the front end and then my commentary at the back end. So let's get into it. What accomplished women should consider about men when dating is something that is not focused on enough in today's chatter about mating and dating, okay? And not in the way that I really want to get into in this video. So point number 1, emotional regulation and self-governance are not guaranteed in adult men. This experiment illustrates how quickly groups of boys descended into chaos when structure and accountability were removed. Impulsivity, competition, and lack of cooperation emerged almost immediately. What this reveals about men is that many boys are socialized with less accountability and responsibility growing up. And if you had a sibling who was a brother, many times you may have experienced this within your own household. This can translate into adult men who struggle with self-regulation, planning, and emotional discipline. Some men rely on external authority, work, partners, institutions, systems of law, etc., to maintain structure in their lives. What accomplished women really need to evaluate is, does this man demonstrate self-governance when no one is watching? Does he maintain order in his life, his home, his finances, his health, his responsibilities? Is he internally disciplined, or does he rely on women to create stability for him? A successful woman should not become the manager of a grown man's life. Let me say that again. A successful woman should not become the manager of a grown man's life. Point number 2 that I really want to highlight here is cooperation versus competition. How he relates to others really does matter. The girls quickly formed cooperative systems, chore charts, meal planning, emotional support, while the boys formed factions, rivalries, and conflict. What this reveals about male dynamics is that many men are socialized toward competition and dominance rather than collaboration and cooperation. Without maturity, male peer culture can normalize conflict, hierarchy, and power struggles. Emotional support systems among men are often weaker than those among women. And if you've even seen online, many men mock other men for seeking therapy, help, or like-minded men for support, unless they're hating women as the common denominator. What accomplished women should really evaluate here is, how does he behave, right, in groups of other men? Does he maintain healthy friendships and community, or mostly rivalry and ego battles? Does he contribute to peace in relationships, or does he escalate tensions? A man who cannot cooperate well socially may also struggle with partnership and emotional reciprocity. Point number 3, women are often expected to provide the structure men never built. An insight here is that the girls naturally organized the environment, maintained cleanliness, and supported each other emotionally. They created a functioning community. What this reveals in the dating dynamics is that many women are conditioned to become emotional managers, household organizers, social coordinators, and conflict mediators. Meanwhile, some men unconsciously expect women to bring order to the chaos they never learned to manage themselves. What accomplished women really should evaluate here is, does this man already live like a functional adult, or does he expect a woman to upgrade his life? Does he add structure and stability to your life or subtract from it? Is he looking for a partner or a life manager disguised as a girlfriend or wife? A high achieving woman should seek a collaborator, not a project. So, some of the key takeaways I really want you all to hear and unpack within yourselves and really question when you're dating a man is, understand that what somebody is presenting is usually not the real story. Character is revealed when structure disappears, right? When dating, accomplished women should really ask, who is this man when no one is managing him? Does he create order or chaos in his own life? Does he have peace? Has he cultivated peace, right, in his own life? And is he trying to take from mine or add to my peace? Would partnering with him bring peace, partnership, and growth, or extra labor? Because the right partner does not require supervision or function. And I also want to add, this is why we are seeing such a backlash with how these younger generation of men feel, the Gen Z men. There was an article that recently came out that they, like a third of them, think women should be submissive, this and that. And they're even more conservative in mindset than earlier generations of men because they're less functional. Previous generations of men have been socialized in the patriarchal structure in which we live that they need to work to earn a life and a wife. Well, this newer generation of men have gotten into this red pill content where they don't feel they have to do anything except, be born with a penis, and they're entitled to women, worshiping them at their feet. And that is not turning out to be their reality, and they're very angry about it. And that anger has turned to a lot of violence, spoken, written, and actual, towards women. So it is very important to assess how a man operates on his own within the bounds of his own life, separate from a partner, before you really considering being with him. That is why it is wise to assess also a level of man's discipline, self-discipline, sexual discipline, monetary discipline, physical fitness discipline as a single man. Because guess what? You are not what you want to do. You are what you repeatedly do. You are your habits, right? You are the product of your habits. So if a man is living an undisciplined life, an emotionally unregulated life, etc., that's all he knows how to do. That's his habit. Chaos is his habit because those are the acts and behaviors he engages in. So let me know your thoughts below. And if you're interested in learning more and you want to dive deeper, feel free to tap into my exclusive coffee coaching community. We'd love to have you. We have deeper conversations and where I help you build out the tools to be more effective dater.